welcome back. Thought we would do a fried rice today, a chicken fried rice, with even some little chunks of silver side. Thanks, Mum, for bringing that round. I've always said it's all about preparation. What you'll see is rice that's been in the microwave or cooked yesterday and then put in the fridge. So that's a key to this recipe, is to make sure that the rice has been pre-cooked. Of course, we're going to reheat it through the wok or on the oven. But a lot of preparation, just putting it together, a lot of slicing, dicing. You can see onions and spring onions and chilies and zucchini, capsicum, carrot, eggs. We'll mix those in, do those separately. Beans, bit of garlic, soy, and even some nuts on top. But first we'll cook the chicken off. You can either cook the chicken in the one sort of pot situation, slice it up, or you can do it in the barbecue. It is a different flavour. I'm going to do it in the barbecue. I'll put a little bit of salt on that chicken first. So I'll cook that up and then we'll come back and then show you how to pull it all together. Okay, a bit of preparation here required. So eggs, I use about 6 eggs. This will feed 4 to 6 people. Breaking those in, making sure, oopsie daisy, making sure you don't get any shell in there where possible, like I just have. But also, a couple other things you can do with this. I'll put in a bit of garlic in with this as well. Just a little slab of garlic there. As I said, 6 eggs, there's 4. These 2, I like that because they stuck to the bottom of the container. And quickly get them out. They're still fresh, I only got them yesterday. That's why you see people actually checking their eggs. When they're at the supermarket, that's a really messy look. That's all right. So both of those are already broken there. Get them in, making sure there's no shell in there. That's pretty good. And whisking it up a little bit. And here's where you add a little bit of, not shell. This is the worst mix-up I've ever done. Here's you add a little bit of salt and pepper to this. I've got a fry pan warming up there. Just salt and pepper. And in that fry pan, you can use oil. I prefer to use a couple of knobs of butter. So I'll get a couple of those knobs of butter ready on there, coming over to you, mixing that up, waiting for that butter just to, you don't have to overdo the mix, but making sure that you've got the bottom of the fry pan fairly warm there. Now, the way I do this is actually breaking it in, just actually pouring it all in. That's okay, that butter hasn't melted. And letting it just sit there. So it's not a scrambled egg, it really is just like a large omelette. And once that's cooked, we'll take it out and chop it up as per the rest of the vegetables and ingredients that go into the fried rice. Right, barbecue chicken's done. There's a couple of ways you can do it, in the pan or the barbecue. I like the barbecue because it does bring a bit of crispness to the fried rice. Just have a look at that, making sure, I think I talked to you about when we're cooking a turkey, it's around 75 degrees. You just got to make sure that it's cooked, okay? And that looks good. I have been to the barbecue many times, re-cooking or continually cooking chicken because it hasn't been done. That's okay. What I did also do was put a little bit of oil on the chicken while it was out there cooking, just a little bit, just to keep it fairly moist. You might be able to marinate the chicken before you cook it, and that could be in a little lemon juice or something just to soften it up and give it a great flavour. So I'm just going to cut those up. There's 3 reasonable size chicken breasts there, fairly rustic in terms of how you cut it up. That's okay. And what you'll see is over on the stove there, might even get you to go over there and have a look at that on the stove while I'm doing this, is you'll see that the eggs have come across really nicely. So they've been cooking for a little bit there. I'll turn that off, those eggs, they're ready to go. I want to show you a really cool trick of how to flip those eggs and get them off that pan, and then we can cut that up as well. Because ultimately what you want to do here is have all your ingredients roughly the same sort of cubes or sizes. Okay, so you don't necessarily want things too big or too small in there. So it keeps that kind of consistency in terms of the size. And that means cutting this chicken up to a point where it's slightly smaller than bite size when we bring it all together. So that's just about done. Last chop there and we're done. Now, while that's waiting, I know we do use a lot of salt, but it really does bring some great flavour. So I'd put a little bit of salt on that. Recognising also that with this ingredients, I'll get you to come over here, with this ingredients, there is a lot of salt. We put a little bit of soy, and you might use a non-salt soy or a reduced salt soy. I'm okay with a lot of salt, so that's all right. So we've got our ingredients all over here. I've got a little bit of butter and a little bit of oil in there as well. Just a little combo. There's a bit more of that garlic that we didn't use before. So just thinking about what goes in next, we want to be able to bring the onions, just sweat those onions off a little bit. You can put bacon in here, you can put chorizo. There's a whole lot of kind of things you can put in it. What I love about a fried rice is it can almost be anything from your fridge. Really just whatever you want to use, getting that up to a good heat, whatever you want to use in there, vegetables, you can see the combination of veggies here, but there's a whole lot of other things that you can put in there depending on what's in your fridge or freezer. Important. So these beans, obviously not that crunchy now, they're frozen, right? So they're straight from the freezer. They're a little bit cheaper, they're pre-cut, and it makes it a bit easy as well. So while that's heating up, I want to show you something with the egg, okay? So the egg's done. Make sure that's not too hot. Putting obviously something that covers it up completely. And look at this. What a great way to whip it out. And a bit like the chicken, what I want to do here is just chop that up into smallish bits. That's still fairly warm, so just be careful. And it looks amazing. What a great looking omelette that is. I can see another episode of a great looking omelette coming up at some stage, given how good that looks. Now that has browned off a little bit because I've used the butter as well. If you use the oil, I don't think it browns off as well. So bite-sized little bits, or just done a bit like the chicken, and really just getting that prepped. And I guarantee not every piece of this will go into the fried rice. If it's not me, it's Maggie who gets a little bit on the side, but that's too hot for her at the moment, so we're going to leave that. Let's just look here. I've got a little wooden spoon, of course, just moving that around. Now, with this process, it's kind of bit a bit. So by that I mean a bit of this pre-cooked rice, getting it all in. Luckily I've cleaned the benches. A little pre-cooked rice, and then really just adding bits to it. So it makes it a bit easier to mix it all together. That zucchini's been pre-cooked in the microwave for about 2 minutes, okay? So getting all that ingredients in there, hands are washed, of course. Getting those carrots in. If you don't have to use carrots, you might chop up your own. I bought those pre-sliced. Some of those frozen beans. I prefer to go from frozen if possible, because once you thaw them out, and if they're sitting there too long, they seem to get a little bit wet. So capsicum, so we're literally just loading this all in now. A little bit of that silver side, which I mentioned. Some spring onion. This is the easiest part now. Once you've had all the prep done, this is just literally just pulling it all together. And what you'll see there is it gets fairly loaded. So that's why I didn't want to put all the rice in at once, because if you've got too much in there, you'll find that you can't stir it through. Okay, and that's heating up on a medium heat. Don't overdo it. But this is the fried part of the fried rice. So let's get that chicken. Where's mine? No, not there it is. Let's get that chicken in. See, we've got more than enough rice in there now. Any more, we wouldn't have been able to load that in. Fantastic. And let's get that hot, beautiful, eggy, salt, pepper and butter omelette all in as well. How good that looks. That looks like a feed 1,000. Now that's a hot pan. Hot handles, don't know why they're making it that. That's a hot pan. And just where you can, stir it through. Now, I mentioned this before, you don't have to put a lot of this soy in, okay, because it's fairly salty already, just a couple of lugs there. And what I'd like to do is actually allow whoever's eating it to put in their own later on. So it's one of those things, you can't take the milk out of the bottle, and you can't take the soy out of the fried rice when you put too much in. There's been plenty of complaints around the kitchen table when that's happened. So that's essentially all we're doing. And just heating that through. A lot of that's already hot already. The egg, the chicken, the rice is starting to warm up now. So we're going to let that keep going, and then I will plate that up and show you the final product shortly.